Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Thank you. So today I'm gonna be showing you guys how I created this beautiful classy look from scratch to finish. So first up, I'm going in with my micellar water from Laveeda Cosmetics. Just going to use this to clean the whole face. And next up, I'm going in with my Badescu hydrating spray. Then next up, my Cos RX serum. This is the essence. I'm going to apply this everywhere on her face with my flat skin prep brush. Just going to make sure this is evenly distributed under eyes, every area it needs to be applied to. Next up, I'm going in with my Cos RX all-in-one cream. This is like a moisturizer, but I'm still going to be using a regular moisturizer after this. So I'm just going to be doing the same thing, going to work it into her skin and make sure it's all blended before I go in with my moisturizer. Okay, so that is done. I'm using my hands to push it into the skin and make sure it's dry before I go into any other product. Next up, I'm going in with my Msmetics moisturizer. I'm also going to be applying this everywhere on her face and then work it evenly into her skin. You know, when you're layering skin prep, you have to be very careful and you have to make sure at each step you give it time to dry before going in with another product, so they don't end up boiling up or causing havoc later on. So each one I apply, I have to make sure it dries down before going in with the next step. Now I'm using my hydrating primer from Omaricode. I'll be using the same brush for all my skin prep. I'm just going to allow this dry down a little bit before I go in with my eye cream from Elf Cosmetics. Just apply this under the eye and then use your hand to work it into the skin. Next up, I'm using my hydro milk primer from Milk Cosmetics. I'm using my fingers to apply this on the T-zones. I'm just going to try to work this into the skin and then just spread it so it's evenly distributed. Next up, I'm going in with my Becca primer to mattify the brow area. For people that use Becca primer, you know how mattifying it is, so I'm just going to be using this on the brow area. Now I'm using my foundation from Lancome and Too Faced Born This Way. And this brush I'm using is from Sephora. I'm just going to blend it into her skin and make sure it matches with her skin first before applying. So it matches, so I'm just going to blend in and then try to make sure that it's evenly distributed. So now I'm done blending. I'll be going in with my primer spray from Nia Beauty. This is just to help the product sit properly. So I'll spray that and then I'm going with my brush to blend in everything. Okay, that is done. Next, I'm going in with my concealer from Juvia's Place. I'm using a brush from Sephora as well to just apply this on the inner corners of her eyes, of her face rather. I prefer to use brush to apply because I don't want them to touch the wand of the concealer directly on her skin to avoid contamination. So, and again, using a brush helps the product spread evenly. So I'm just going to blend this in. Now I'm going in with my blending brush. This is from Real Technique Cosmetics. I'm just going to blend this evenly and make sure it's well blended before going into the next process. So that is done. I'm going to go in with my cream blush from Tehila Cosmetics. I'm using the same brush I used for my foundation to apply this. I'm just going to apply this on the blush area of her cheek. Just blend this into her cheek bones and then a little towards her, around her forehead, but not really on her forehead area. Next, I'm going in with this setting powder from Gentle Dove. This is one of my favorite setting powders because it's very easy to blend and it doesn't leave white casts. Like once you apply it, it just goes in. It's not very matte, it's not drying, doesn't dry out. It just leaves a soft matte feel, and that's what I love about this powder. It is highly recommended. Okay, so I'm just using this brush from MK Cosmetics to apply the setting powder on every area I highlighted: the eyebrow, the forehead, all the T-zones, the bridge of the nose, and what have you. I'm just going to make sure that this is evenly distributed, and then I'm going to set my whole face using her shade of powder. Okay, so I'm going in with this powder from Milani Cosmetics in shade Warm. Okay, so I'm just going to use this brush is from Yanga Beauty, the big powder buff brush. Just going to use this to spread my powder evenly on every area, both the highlighted and the unhighlighted areas, although I'm going to be avoiding the T-zones so I don't just cancel out the whole highlight I've done. So I'm just going to apply this evenly, then go in with my contour, and then we'll move on to the next process. So for my contour, I'll be using the Morphe bronzer for my contour. I'm using this shade. I'll put it in the description box. I think I've forgotten the shade I used, but I'll put it in the description box. Now I'm just using this brush from Urban Decay. Just going to apply this on the nose, on the bridge of the nose, and try to get an evenly blended contour. You don't want your contour to be looking very dark or black, so I used a lighter shade of bronzer for that. Now I'm contouring the sides of her cheek and her forehead area. I'm using the same contour shade I used, the same bronzer I used for her nose to contour her face. Then next up, I'm going to do this around her forehead as well to give that sculpted look. I'm using this brush from Newborn Cosmetics for this. Okay, I'm just going to contour the forehead lightly. I don't want the forehead to be looking so different from the body. Now I'm using this setting powder, the same one I used for her highlights. I'm using it to do a little highlight under the directly beneath the contoured area. This is just to help the contour pop more and to give her face a more sculpted look. Okay, so I'm using a translucent warm shade setting powder, and then now I'm going to apply the setting powder on every other place that I had previously highlighted. I'm using the same brush I used previously for the highlights, using the same brush to apply it everywhere, just the same way I applied it in the first setting phase. Now for my blush, I'll be using this Franca Madiva blush and eyeshadow palette. I really love the orange shade on the palette because it's very warm and it's very easy to blend. This blush is one of the best I've used so far. It is highly recommended. It's very good. So I'm just going to use the same brush I used for my contour and apply my blush on the apple of the cheek. Just spread it evenly. See how easy this blush blends. That's what I like about it. So next, I'm going in with my brow tamer for my brows. I'm just going to apply this on the brows to put the brow hairs in place and make sure that they are where I want them to be. So I'm just going to do this and then set with my setting powder before I start drawing my brows. Okay. So now I'm going to set my the buttons with setting powder, the same setting powder I've been using for highlights. I'm going to use it to set the area just to make sure it's not oily and doesn't oil out later on. So that is done. I'm going to go into my brows and start drawing my brows. So I'm using this brow pencil from Classic Makeup USA. I'm just going to use this to outline the brow area and make sure I create a straight and smooth outline before filling in. Okay, so guys, just enjoy the brow process. I'll be back. So now I'm going to be filling in the brows, starting from the end part of the brow and then working my way towards the front of the brows. Okay, so I'm using my pencil to just try to create natural hair strokes at the front while I'm still brushing with my spoolie brush as well. Now I'll be doing the same thing on this part of the brows, fill in from the end part and then work your way towards the front. Now I'm going to be concealing my eyebrows. I think I used the Yanga Beauty concealer for this process, and my brush is from Cindy's Beauty line. So I'm just going to conceal the under. Then I'm going with my blending brush to blend out the concealer into the skin and into the eyelid. This brush is from, I think, Urban Decay also. Now I'm doing the same thing over here, just going to conceal with my flat brush and then blend with my blending brush, and I'm good to go, guys. Now I'm going to be setting the areas I am concealed with my powder. I'm using a shade that is 2 shades lighter than my model's shade. Just going to set the under the brows just to make it pop a little bit more. Now I'm done with that. I'm going to go in with my eyeshadow. I didn't use any eyeshadow base for this look. I'm just going to go in directly with this eyeshadow from Hegai and Esther. I'm using the purple shade and I'm using this fluffy eyeshadow brush. This brush, I think it's a single brush. I bought it over the counter at a cosmetic shop. I don't know the name. I'm just going to blend this into the skin on the lid. Make sure that the eyeshadow is evenly distributed at the right places. Okay, so I'm going to apply this on the crease area too, just to make sure it's evenly distributed. Next up, I'm going in with the shimmer eyeshadow from the same palette. Just going to apply it in the inner corners of her eyelid. And then this brush is from Yanga Beauty Cosmetics. I'm just going to be using the flat end of the brush to apply this to make it more precise. That is done. Now I'm using the end part of the tiny part of this brush. This is more like a shader brush. I'm using the same shade I used to create the base, I'm using that same shade with this shader brush to just make add a little more shadow to the eyeshadow. If that makes any sense. So now I'm using this eyeliner from Paula Beauty for her waterlines, and you have to be very fast when you're doing this because most people tend to tear at this point. So just dragging the skin under her eyes and then applying the eyeliner very fast, and then telling her to look away from me while I apply it under her eyelids as well. That's to give it a more sculpted eyes. Okay, next up, my lip. I'm going to be using a brown lip liner to outline her lips before going in with my nude color. So this lip stain or the lip color I'm using is from the Imagic lip palette. I really love to do nude lips. It makes me happy. I'm not really a red lip person, but I think I'm going to try doing that very soon. So now I'm going to be applying this on her lip and then trying to blend it in and make sure they are well blended before I apply my lip gloss. Okay. My mother was saying that she really loves this lip and this is her favorite lip. Finally, we are good on something. Okay, so I'm just trying to blend this in and make sure that it's evenly blended. Next up, I'm going in with my lip gloss. I think this lip gloss is from Classic Makeup USA. I'm using the same applicator brush I used, just using this to blend in the lip gloss as well to make sure it goes into the right places and in the right proportion. So I'm almost done with that. Now I'm just blending in the lip stain and the lip gloss just to make sure that there are no harsh lines anywhere. Now you can see the excitement in my model's eyes. Now I'm going to be using my concealer to conceal the around the lip to give it a more defined look and to correct any mistake I might have made in the process of my outlining the lip. Okay, so I'm using the same concealer brush I used and Yanga Beauty concealer, I think in shade 04. That's what I'm using. Just outline the lip, then I'm going to blend it in and then set it with powder, and then I'm good to go. Okay, so I'm finally done with the lip. I'm going to be going in with her shade of powder. I'm using the MAC natural finish powder, I think in shade NC5. Yeah, I'm just going to use this to set every part of our face and blend everything together. I'm using the same brush from Yanga Beauty, just using this big brush to set everything together, blending everything, make sure that every area is taken into consideration and everything. Now I'm using a smaller powder brush to blend in the forehead because I don't want to tamper with the brows. So I'm using this small powder brush to set to blend everything in, both the highlighted areas and the contoured area and the areas I did not even highlight or contour. So I'm just trying to brush off the excess setting powder. Next, I'm going in with my highlighter. This highlighter is from Yanga Beauty in shade Oh Baby. Yeah, I think so. And this brush is from Real Technique. So I'm going to be applying the highlighter on the areas I highlighted: the apple of the cheek, the bridge of the nose, and the jaw. Those are the areas I'm applying this highlighter. But for the nose, I'm not going to be applying it like a straight line. Just take a little and use my brush to just tap it on the bridge of the nose, and then a little at the top. Now I'm done with this. I'm going to go in with my Morphe spray to just blend everything in. You know, this spray is undefeated, like it's one of the best out there. Now I'm going to allow it to dry. I'm going to aid the drying process with my fan. And guys, this is what we have. Okay, this is the finished look. I hope you like it. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Thank you. See you guys some other time. Love you.